right, it's May. This is the time of the year where a lot of the places throughout the Midwest and different places, especially down south, the spawn is over. You know, the spawn's been fun. Everybody catches them during the spawn. Well, I'm going to give you 5 more or less tips during the month of May in order to catch more crappie. We're going to go fishing tomorrow. We're going to go to Grand Lake down in Oklahoma. And we're going to look at the lake here, and we're going to get us a game plan together. So probably the biggest players is probably mid-lake, you know, where you're going to say, call that Horse Creek area back towards the Elk River. Shallower, more stained water, someplace to where we can pinpoint that the crappie have spawned, because that's probably where they spawned first. They've left out, and we're going to catch them in the staging area. We're going to start with that one as far as number 1. Look at it. Get your game plan together. That way, when you go to the lake, you kind of got the right mindset of what you're looking for and how you're going to do it. Secondly, I think we need to look here like the fish are going to hang around someplace that they want to spawn. Obviously, we're probably not going to focus back up in these areas because those fish should have swam out by now. It's late enough in the year. But they're tired. You know, that's going to be something that I think a lot of people mistake is the fact that these crappie aren't going a lot of places. They're just maybe not up on the bank anymore. But then they don't have to swim that far to get to some deeper water. A lot of these crappie are going to come right out here and get on those little channel swings, on these little deeper edges. You know, they're going to float right out here in the middle of this. They're going to hover. You're going to be able to see them with forward-facing sonar. Even like in just an instance, these little old gravel pockets like this in here, that's probably a 5-foot pocket. Great spawning pocket. Well, those crappie aren't going to go too far. They're just going to go out here and roam on this point or something around the edge. So keep that in mind. You don't have to go that far from where you caught them. They're tired. They're not going to swim a long ways. So number 3, I always think around the spawn, when it's over with, they go out there. They're a lot more ready to feed up than what we think sometimes. They're willing to eat a ribeye steak over a donut any day of the week. I definitely suggest to try a bigger bait. I think you can always go smaller, but you're going to have a tendency to where if you're throwing a smaller bait and they're not biting it a little bit, you're not going to go bigger. I think that's a mistake a lot of people make. Whenever I start off bigger, and then I can go smaller if I need to. After the spawn, I think some of those bigger females are a lot more apt to swim 2 or 3 foot and eat a bigger bait over a smaller bait. Now, that depends on your water clarity, the time of day, the wind, everything that's going on, the conditions. But as a rule, when I get on the water in the morning, I will have a larger bait on, and I will make them tell me that they're going to have to go smaller to get them to eat it. You know, in order to keep that bait in the strike zone longer too, something I like to do, and this is what I'm going to call maybe a tip and a mistake, is that people use traditionally 4-pound test line crappie fishing. That's what they were told to use, and that's how they're going to use it. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you're getting by with and you're catching them, so be it. But I bump my braid line larger whenever I get after the spawn. So normally I throw a 16-pound all-might sinking braid from Sunline. I'm going to bump that up to 22. It's not going to hurt a fish senior line because we're going to use the same Sunline FC leader. So if you're worried about your bait going by them too long or too fast, make it go longer. And one way you can do that without changing your head size is just changing your line diameter. I do that a lot. I just carry another rod after it gets past the spawn with bigger diameter line. You're going to gain a little bit in diameter. Not a lot, but a little bit in diameter, which is going to allow that to have a slower coast in the water. The line's going to grab the water more. It's going to take that bigger bait and actually slow it down to make it hover more around the fish when you're trying to fluff it right on top of him. That little bit heavier line really helps. And the last tip I'm going to give you, it's probably the same thing. It's probably a tip and a mistake, is I think this time of the year you've got to be stealthy. These fish have been up on the bank. They've been prop washed. They've been run over. They've had cranes trying to eat them, pelicans trying to eat them, everything in the world, an otter, whatever it might be, boats running over them, people on boat docks, people swimming while they're trying to spawn, and they're just kind of on edge. So when you get out there, I think being quiet, being stealthy, don't slam the lids in your boat. Not that that shouldn't happen 12 months a year, and I try to do that 12 months a year every time I'm on the water. But this is a time of the year where I think they're super edgy. They're not going to let you get on top of them making a bunch of noise. If your prop's coming out of the water on your trolling motor, if you got your trolling motor on a really high speed and it's making a lot of noise, try to be stealthy. Think about being quiet. And whether you take that as a tip or a mistake, either way, I think it'll help you if you'll pay attention to these 5 things we just spoke about in the month of May, after the crappie spawn here in the Midwest, especially on Grand Lake, I think you're going to see your limits improve and the day on the water be that much better.